An important part of any music scene is an engaged music press. Calgary has 2 major dailies, a smattering of papers devoted to music and the arts, and 20 music stations on the radio dial. Are these media outlets doing their job to support the music scene and give bands the exposure they need?
Well, I'd say we are probably the biggest campus community radio station in Canada. If I don't know everything about every sort of section of the local music scene, so it's good to have sort of each DJ who knows their own genre out in the community and bringing stuff back. I mean, we have a mandate at CJSW to promote local music. It's part of what the station's about. We kind of have a rule of about, say, 1 local artist per hour, and that's huge. I mean, I don't feel in any way that it sort of degrades the quality of the station. Part of the deal with getting a campus community license is that you are mandated to play more Canadian content than, say, a commercial station would have to. Indie rock is big, well then the rock stations will pick up a couple indie rock tracks so that they can bring in a couple more listeners so that they can get their advertising dollars. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I don't want to sort of dig on that. Because we're not set within the bounds of trying to find the most money, we can sort of be a bit more explorative with our programming and with what we play on the radio and expose people to stuff that wouldn't necessarily get played. No campus stations really subscribe to, say, the BBM reports, which tell you what percentage of the radio market is actually listening to your station. It's just not, it doesn't make sense. We're not trying to sell advertising, so why would we pay for something that's just an advertising tool? But if you base it on things like funding drives, right? Listener support being pledged towards the station. Calgary, we raise about just over 200,000. You look at Edmonton is, I think, the next highest, and they raise just over 100,000. You look at a city like Montreal, theirs is coming up in a couple weeks, they're looking to raise around 50,000. I think that speaks something about the programming here. I think Calgary listeners are into hearing about new local talent, new Canadian talent, things that would never fit within a commercial sort of radio station. It's a pretty good place to be, you know. And here we are in supposedly a really cultureless city, and we can get community support of $200,000.
CJSW is an awesome campus radio station in terms of, like, as far as campus radio stations go in Canada and internationally. So I mean, anyone can get their stuff played on it. If you're a band, whatever, burn a disc and take it to them, and they're pretty supportive and they'll play it. And if you want to play on the radio station, they're pretty cool with it too. So Calgary has an awesome campus radio station. But yeah, I don't know if I'm really one to comment on the other ones.
We do have fan bases in other areas, but Calgary is definitely the strongest, mainly due to radio play here. Yeah, Vibes played every single one of our singles off our latest album. And
constantly.
Yeah, they play it a few times a day, every day, so it's awesome.
Pursuing music as a career isn't easy anywhere. Is there hope for bands in Calgary to escape the cycle of bad jobs, missed rent, noodle bowls, and bohemian obscurity? The success of acts such as Feist and Tegan and Sarah may tempt bands to search for recognition elsewhere, as these acts did. But with self-promotion, perseverance, and a little business savvy, it just may be possible to break out of Cowtown and onto the world stage, or at least the national stage.
Well, being in Canada, being a Canadian band, you can only tour so much in Canada because it's such a large country.
Yeah.
Like the distance between like Calgary and Toronto is huge.
Sure.
Whereas if you were to go that same distance in the United States or in Europe, you'd hit 10 times as many places.
So if you want to be just sitting at home playing in the basement, then that's what you'll be. If not, you have to go out there, you have to spread your name, you have to be on the phone all the time talking to different companies, different groups, different venues, promoters, radio people, all sorts of stuff. You gotta, I don't know, try and make yourself seem important to the right people, basically.
Yeah, and it comes off as the biggest thing I think, or one of the main things being in a band is the marketing side and promoting, because you can have this great product, but if nobody knows about it or hears it or anything, then what's the point? So marketing is extremely tedious, expensive, and time consuming, but you have to do it, and you can't really cut corners because it's completely in your hands. No one else is going to do it for you.
And it's not that hard to get into. Like we started, one of our first shows was at Hi-Fi. I mean, hardly anyone was there, but you can play there.
We'll play, one place, or I'll go see a band, and there's just not many people there. But if you go to like a show in Vancouver or Toronto, there's a lot of people at all those shows. Like there's just a lot more people there, and they're kind of more willing to go out on even a school night or a work night. And whereas here, maybe it's, maybe they're more conservative, maybe they don't want to spend their money.
Calgary's boom has, not surprisingly, had immediate effects on economic infrastructures and facets of our lives, like real estate, retail, roads, buildings, businesses, and our pocketbooks. The music scene may naturally follow suit and undergo an expansion or a rebirth, but if it does, it will be surely a delayed reaction. Art is far from an immediate process, and the investment required to give Calgary a world-class infrastructure devoted to music is hard to come by. As Calgarians, we seem to be content making a lot of generalizations about ourselves. But there's no reason our musicians can't enjoy the same success experienced by other Canadian artists. There is the beginnings of a real musical awakening here. But even if the musicians are making strides, it may take the rest of us a while to catch up. The music is here. We're just not listening yet.